Okay, Rookie. Perfect. Thanks for taking the time. Can you just briefly introduce yourself? Who are you?
I'm Rookie. I'm in my 40s, early 40s. I work for a startup in legal, live in London. And I would like to say I'm a value investor, but more on the quality side, I would say.
Yeah. When you joined my mentoring program, what would you say was going on in your life, and what did you want to achieve?
So I had been investing for a few years myself. I'd had a weird journey into investing. I had a few investments, but the main thing I wanted was to meet someone or have someone kind of explain a process which was crystallized and which I could use myself, but also to understand valuation, understand what I really wanted to see from businesses. And although I knew I'd made mistakes along the way, to understand what was actually the mistake I made in the business. I mean, just knowing that something went down and the business went rubbish, it's not enough of an answer. It's better to understand what were the fundamental problems with the business, and when I picked them, what I should have realized at the time.
Awesome. Did you have any hesitations before reaching out to me? And how did you feel after the first couple of weeks?
So reaching out, first of all, the only hesitation I had reaching out was when you posted it, because I watched your video. At first I thought he's going to be inundated with people, so I'm never going to get in. Secondly, I don't know if because I've mentioned before that I always assume people are smarter than myself. So I just thought I'm not even going to be smart enough to be involved in the course. And after taking the course and being in it, it's been really comfortable. Learning has been great. Being able to bounce ideas with everyone else and with you as well, always been on hand. It's been really good. After the first few weeks, it became natural to me. So, yeah.
Let me just say that I think you were, I'm not sure, but I think you were the very first person that reached out. And if I remember correctly, you also put quite a lot of effort into your email, right? I think was a longer email.
Yes, it was. It wasn't, because I just wanted to, if you read it, then at least you'd know that I was pretty serious. Because I, through my investment journey, I found you because of my investment journey on YouTube. And I was like, oh, this person's like-minded. Let me watch his videos, let me listen. And you were a great touchstone, I would say, especially during the pandemic. Mostly you and a few others, but mostly I would always watch out for your videos. So it was That's
a very nice compliment. I appreciate that. So we've been working together for I don't know, I guess 17, 18 weeks.
Yes.
I mean, in the greater scheme of things, in the world of investing, that's a relatively short time frame. But are there any specific results that you can point to that you already accomplished since we started working together?
Firstly, although I'd said that I was already quite a good saver myself, but just streamlining that thing and thinking about, okay, do I really need, because I think you pointed out to me, do you really need to save that much? If you've already got that much already on the side, maybe you could deploy it better. Also, just my process now in picking investment ideas. Like before, I think I mentioned last week, I was someone who was constantly reading, but always constantly looking at the news, constantly looking, constantly opening up the app to see what news I had to do with my stocks. And that invariably meant that I checked my stocks all the time, which I don't need to do. And so I've had a transformation where now I can just I was going to let them compound, but actually have a way to remove myself from the noise and just know I check on the weekend, maybe once, and then understand that I want to pick individual stocks more slowly, with a lot more consideration.
Yeah.
And actually weigh, okay, do I really want to add this to the portfolio or do I not?
Awesome. So would you say this transformation when it comes to the behavioral side of investing, would you say this was the biggest accomplishment for you?
That and also just gaining through the discussions we've had, I didn't know, because if I would speak to other people who weren't doing this and I'd explain something, of course I'd seem like I know what I'm talking about. But talking to you guys and then having that reflected back, talking about different concepts, different companies, has given me more of a clearer thinking and a confidence in understanding, okay, I do understand what's going on. I do understand the concepts, and this is how I can deploy them better. And not to think that I think, the analogy where you think if you have a hammer,
everything looks like a nail, right?
Right. I've learned that I can't use that for everything. So, yes.
I remember that you brought up, and I think I brought it up a couple of times too, that you went to a meetup during the COVID pandemic of like a group of eToro investors, right?
Yeah,
if you were to contrast your experience with that group of people, I think it was just one meeting, right? With your experience in the mentorship program and the other guys, how would you compare the two?
It was night and day. When I went to the eToro thing, it was just before the pandemic hit. I was explaining, the first person I spoke to, I explained to them that I'm looking for quality businesses that I want them to compound going forward. I kind of mentioned, okay, if you think about when Warren Buffett bought Coca-Cola, I'm trying to look for something similar like that. I don't want to be involved in these fly-by-night companies. And I kind of was laughed out the room. Like, what are you talking about? What about these charts? Look at these charts. And I was like, I don't use charts. I want to know that the company is profitable. I want to know there's cash flows and things like that. I approached one of the people who was actually a speaker. So he was a presenter at the thing, who they held up as an incredible investment guru. And I asked him directly, this is before Tesla was profitable. So I asked him about Tesla and why you think it's got such a high valuation versus other car companies. And he kind of fobbed me off or laughed at me, like, why are you asking that question? And I said, but look, it's not profitable. Can you explain? At least, why is it bigger than Toyota? Just simple. And so the experience was not the best. I walked away thinking, disheartened, I guess. But then I met you guys, and you guys were singing from the same hymn sheet. That I'm not being silly. We need to see these cash flows. We need to see profitability. We need to see high returns on equity, high returns on assets, high returns on invested capital. We need to be able to see profit margins. We need to see low debt, or at least debt that's manageable. And so it reinforced what I thought and how I felt. So it's definitely night and day.
Perfect. You're already highlighting a couple of things you have taken away from the program, such as managing your emotions maybe a little more consciously. Then you mentioned the process of generating ideas. Let me just ask, because the program is called Mental Models Wealth Building, any other mental model or concept that stands out, like basically just a key learning for you besides the two I just mentioned?
I think patience, knowing that like Rome is not built in a day. So patience, not just in investing, but in your life as well. That if you're going to build up a saving or cash pile, it's going to take time. You're not going to be able to do it just like that, and you have to be disciplined to do that. You need to understand these are the inputs that need to be done, but they need to be done repeatedly over time. Then it's not like you do them today and tomorrow, voila. You need to be doing it over years. And then it back to the patience of understanding that even when you pick the right company, don't think that it's going to double tomorrow. It might double in 5 years, but you need to stay the course. You can't be in and out. And even if it drops in 2 months' time, to be able to understand why you're invested in that company. You're owning the company. You're not owning the stock price, so to speak. You're owning the company. So as a farm, you wouldn't rush out and sell it. You would just keep it, right? So it's the same thing where you need to understand, okay, the company is still good and it's doing what you want it to do. And you will be rewarded if you hold it for a long enough time frame.
Yeah, and a stock that doubles over 5 years, that's basically a return of 15%, right? If we use the rule of 72. And if you are able to achieve a return of 15%, you're already doing very, very well and beating the margin, the market by quite a margin.
Yes. So there's that, and also not trying to find it so many ideas, so you end up over diversified because you the next stock or the next idea. It's like being worried that you're missing out on other stocks when it's not doesn't work that way. You should just have your best ideas and stick by those as much as possible.
Yeah. So would you generally say that you can recommend the service, and maybe more importantly, why and to whom?
Yes, I would recommend the service because it's an incredible learning tool. It will change your mindset, your thinking about the markets in general. You're thinking about just investing in general, even if you didn't end up buying individual stocks, just understanding how to save, how to build wealth using, even if it's an index fund or whatever vehicle you want to use, or how to understand, okay, if I'm going to invest in property, what is the opportunity cost you have there. The people I would suggest it to is people who want to do this, people who are disciplined, I guess. Some of my friends, I would recommend it to them. What was the last bit of the question?
No, that's it. To whom you would recommend it, yeah.
Yes. So people who are serious about building wealth, I guess, or serious about growing their wealth.
Yeah, let me just say, because you mentioned discipline, that you have been a very disciplined student. So you were, I've said this before, right? You were showing up consistently for the calls. You were always prepared. You were always pretty hyped about talking about investing and wealth building. So you definitely brought that to the table yourself. And I appreciate you pointing that part out as well. Let's say someone is considering joining the mentoring program, but still unsure for whatever reason. What would you say to him or her?
I would say it definitely would be worth their while. There's no frills or like just fancy things for no reason. Everything is actual tangible things that you can get your teeth into from day one, from the first part of the module until the end. Some of it is reinforced and reinforced and reinforced, and with real world examples. Which, if someone was hesitant, you could show them a real world example as well, and show them, okay, I can give an example of Costco as a company and explain that, and this is what is fundamentally in most of the modules. So that's what I would do if someone was hesitant.
Great, thanks. Final question, and I'm looking for honest feedback here because I'm really interested in improving the quality of the program. Anything you would like to see differently, or areas where you would suggest this could maybe be improved just a little bit?
I think for the most part, everything is there. I think where you're getting a lot more traction now is when people are now discussing their ideas, but I understand that obviously would come later, right? You don't expect people to be stuck, but that is, I think that is a valuable piece. Once you get to that flywheel where people are now confident to talk about ideas and critique, or why do you think Tesla's margins will stay that high? Or why haven't you looked at?
So you watched last week's or Monday's video, right? Yeah,
I did. Or why is it you're suggesting this video with Chamath in it? I mean, I have strong opinions about as well.
Looking forward to next Monday.
Next Monday, or even just talking about Google and answering the question about, okay, how do we see search surviving this onslaught of competition? Do we see them as still being the front runner? Do we think that's their only bow? Like they might have other things which are underlying, which we've not taken into account, other bets, we don't know. So it's good that we're having these discussions now, but that can only come with the foundation we've built going forward. So I appreciate that, yes.
Yeah. Fabulous.